So this morning I'll be speaking to something very briefly for the time we have. Understanding the world as a marketplace. The world we live in is a marketplace. We saw that illustrated in the parable of Jesus in Matthew 25, verse 14 to 17. The world is a marketplace. Matthew 25, please. For the kingdom of heaven is as a man traveling into a far country. And he did. We saw him went to the skies on Mount Olives. He said, I'm coming back. He went to a far country. He's coming back. Then he gave to his servants. He called his own servants and delivered unto them his goods. And unto one he gave 5 talents, to another 2, and to another 1, to every man according to his several ability, and straightway took his journey. Now watch, 16. And he that had received 5 talents went and traded with the same, and made them more 5 talents. Likewise, he that received 2 went likewise, means he did the same thing, traded with it, and made 2 more. So Jesus, by this parable, establishes the market status of life. The world is a marketplace, and only children play in the marketplace. Luke 7:32. Children play in the marketplace, not adults. They are like unto children sitting in the marketplace and calling one to another and saying, we have piped unto you, and ye have not danced. We have mourned, and ye have not wept. They are playing. Children play in the marketplace, not adults. Children are the ones that play in the marketplace, not adults. Life is not a playground. Life is a marketplace. It answers to only traders. You trade the resources available to you. And our principal resource is time. Efficient time traders make the most in this marketplace. The dictionary meaning of a playboy is a man that's chiefly dedicated to pleasure. Dedicated to pleasure. But the Bible says, he that loves pleasure shall be a poor man. Proverbs 21, verse 17. People given to pleasure, excessive pleasure, uncontrolled pleasure, they always end up living under pressure. Too much of downtime in a man's life will always result in a downfall. Too much of downtime, a time of doing nothing, always results in a downfall. Ecclesiastes 10 and verse 18. He said, by much slothfulness, the building decays, and through idleness of the hands, the hand drops through. Down times will always culminate in downfalls. Watch out. Watch out. Watch out. Some went on vacation like this, never came back. They resumed in the prison. Victims of downtime. Can't you come over here? This is what we do. You just carry this straight to London and you are back. He never came back. You move this to Malaysia, you are covered. He never came back. Then we call the parents, I'm now in school. It's not in school, it's in prison. And this keeps going, particularly now, that there are too many things to get you unproductively occupied. I was having a reflection and I said, you travel, you move around the community around 2 a.m., everybody's asleep and snoring. You know why? They work during the day. But how many did productive work? Playing ayo. After some time, my God, I'm tired. You're tired. You are working, but working at nothing. Working at nothing. Is playing drought? Yes. Wait a minute. So in the evening, he sleeps. I mean, in the night, snoring. It's been a very busy day, I tell you. Busy day on the phone, sir, on the phone, chatting nonsense. Busy. I've traveled this way before, so you can't harass me. There's no old man who was not once young. You don't get young after you are old. Time wasters are losers in the race of life. All time wasters are losers. If you check that same episode in Luke 19, verse 12 to 13, occupy till I come, and he gave each of them a pan each. It's 10 servants. Time is an asset of equality. No one has it more than another. Everybody has 24 hours to himself by divine endowment. Same allocation to the rich and the poor. Same allocation to the king and the peasant. Everybody. 1 pound of talent. The only 1 pound thing I know is time. 24 hours allocation to everybody. 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 Some will trade their 1 pound and make 10 more and be over 10 cities the same period. And someone will get condemnation for it, for doing nothing with it. We must be aware to make the most of our time because the days are evil. Because the devil knows is your greatest asset in the adventure of life. So he steals more of your time than your materials. By robbing you of your time, he robs you of your destiny. I used to know a school headmaster. Suddenly we heard that he was going to the law school. While others were playing ayo and eating corn, he was doing London Correspondence, University Correspondence College. In those days, no internet, no nothing. So you go to the post office to go and collect his parcel and with lantern. He left them. He left his peers, went to law school, became a lawyer. Status changed within the same time. While others were playing ayo under the tree. I beat you, you beat me. You can't beat me, never. Same time. Same time. The devil is more concerned about your time and my time than your things. Than your things. In the days when teenagers are authors, my God, not writing for writing's sake, high-selling authors. And now at 20, you're a crying baby. Mommy, can I eat? I don't like to eat egg. I grew to hate that time. I grew to hate that time. I address my issues with all the time I have. I taught myself to speak by knowing that I needed to learn communication. Spend your time to improve on your lot. Invest your time to enhance your values. Non-productive engagement makes one vulnerable to demonic assault. Matthew 12, 43 to 45. When an evil spirit is gone out of a man, he goes about in dry places. 43 to 45. Seeking rest and finding none. Then he said, I will return into the house from whence I came out. And when he's come, he findeth it empty, swept and garnished, but empty. Then he goes forth and takes with him 7 other spirits more wicked than himself. And they came and invaded that house. And the later end of that man was worse than the beginning. Non-productive engagement makes a believer vulnerable to satanic molestations, to satanic attacks. God has cured your taste for evil while you are here. If you go empty, the evil will come back in multiplied form. Watch it. Watch it. As commonly said, nature abhors vacuum. One is either occupied doing the right thing or becomes a victim of doing the wrong that wrecks destiny. You are either occupied doing the right things or you become a victim of doing the wrong which wrecks destiny. It was Billy Graham said, some temptations come to all men, but all temptations come to the idle. All. Stealing, smoking, lying, all. Just be idle. All. Do nothing. Do not be productive. All. Those who put pleasure before labor usually end up living under pressure. The wise man said, prepare thy work in the field, Proverbs 24, verse 27. And make it fit for thyself, and afterwards build thy house. Yesterday made it 35 years that God sent me to Lagos. Amen. Our mission could not afford 45,000 per annum for a house. No, we shouldn't try that. That would be catastrophic. That's out of budget. Out of budget. But today, huge estates across the nations. Same system, same organization. Afterwards, build thy house. Work first. Pleasure later. If you put pleasure first, you're under pressure. You will rent a house beyond you and can't find sleep. You buy a car you cannot maintain, so you get grounded eventually. Life. When you hear me telling you stories of 48 years ago, okay, how old am I? That tells you how early I got started learning about life and how to make the most of it. I will soon be 70. I have no regret for any aspect of my life. I'm speaking to you the word of a father to complement what your parents teach you. You better hearken to the instruction of a father and make the most of your life. We grew up as boys. The playboys of our time, they are off the radar. Off the radar. Can't trace them. Does that mean they are dead? No. They're just off. Life is an adventure in times and seasons. Ecclesiastes 3, 1 and 2. And he makes all things beautiful in his time, verse 11. This is the planting season of your life as youths. This is your planting season. If you miss the planting season for corn, you go cornless for that year, or you buy. Planting seasons are not revertible. They are not. You miss it, you miss it. This is the planting season of your life. I've spoken to you, young men, because you're strong. The word of God abides in you, and you overcome the wicked one. This is the planting season of your life. 1 John 2:14. You better recognize the planting season of your life. Don't allow weeds to grow. They will choke your tender grape and make such victims miserable. Can I have you say with me, I'm in the planting season of my life? What does that mean? It's now your time to clear your field of all by uprooting all unwanted trees. That's how to start planting. You first do clearing of the debris in your life that stand as blockades to your future. Uprooting them. Uprooting habits that will block your access to a future. And then you plow I'm talking about a Greek now. You break up the ground. You break up the fallow ground. And then you arrow, turn it around. And then you reach, ready for planting. Then you fertilize the earth to make the most of your seed. It's a process. And it requires a lot of time. A lot of time. A son that sleeps in harvest is one that brings his father shame. Therefore, awake, thou that sleepest, and arise from the dead, and Christ shall give thee light. Proverbs 10:4-5. Awake. I found something at 16 from Lamentation 3:27, that it is good for a young man to bear his yoke in his youth. It got hold of me, and I went under a little shrub behind the hostel of our secondary school and knelt down and said, Jesus, whatever yoke I need to bear when I'm old, let me bear it now. I don't want to be carrying luggage at old age. Later, I came to understand what that yoke actually means. It's not suffering, no. Responsibility. Take responsibility early or you end up in liability later. Take responsibility early or you end up in liability later. Take responsibility early or you end up in liability later. Take responsibility now or you end up in liability later. You mustn't end your life with a die known. That's why you are knowing now. Jesus described what this yoke is all about when he said, come unto me, all ye that labor and are heavy laden, and I'll give you rest. Come and learn of me. My yoke is easy and my burden is light, and you find rest for your souls. Matthew 11:28 and 29. Take my yoke upon you and learn. Don't wait to learn by experience. Learn by exploration of knowledge. Don't wait to learn how to avoid accident. By experience, you may not survive it. Learn it by knowledge. It's safer, it's secure. So it is the yoke of learning or the responsibility of learning what it takes to make the most of one's life. I say humorously here, the yoke of learning is lighter than the yoke of suffering. The yoke of learning is lighter than the yoke of suffering. Don't learn by suffering, learn by learning. The burden of learning is lighter than the burden of failure. The burden of learning is lighter than the burden of failure. The yoke of learning is far more dignifying than the horror of poverty. Learn how not to be poor. Learn efficient management of your resources. Learn the covenant approach to sustainable financial fortune. Learn it, learn it, learn it. Learn it. By the grace of God, I have a walk-through library in my home. It's a whole place. About 4 rows. You'll find books there of 1 naira 35 kobo. I will tell you when it was bought. I started consciously buying books to learn about life since I was 20. Nothing of value is ever free. Wake up. You have a vision, well done. If you don't learn how to pursue your vision, it will become a delusion. It won't see the light of day. Learn. Learn. The demand of learning is non-negotiable if one must avoid heavy burdens tomorrow. Learn the way out before you are shut in. Therefore, my advice as you go, have a running project for this vacation season. Build strength in the areas of weaknesses in your academic pursuit. Seek brighter understanding where you are just merely average. Secondly, and very important, build spiritual capacity against the wickedness of the wicked to secure your destiny and eternity. I had some guests in the course of the week, and they came in from the US. The husband slept one night and saw some fellow knocking his knees. Couldn't walk again. Has been on wheelchair for 3 years. Build spiritual capacity against the wickedness of the wicked to secure your destiny and eternity. Build it. A jolly, great home can just be intruded by a stranger, and immediately the spouse has demons. A stranger has crept in because there is no strength to resist him. Build spiritual capacity. I had a man PhD from Harvard that went off mentally. They brought him here. Brought down from the US. Build spiritual capacity. Look for spiritual material to boost your spiritual understanding. Otherwise, you come out of covenant today, you enter into a shrine tomorrow. Come out of covenant today, and tomorrow you are in a cult. For lack of spiritual capacity. If you faint in the day of battle, it's because your strength is small. Proverbs 24, verse 10. Spend time to build your spiritual capacity. I will have died several times. Grace help me to build capacity against the assault of death. You read that in my biographies, the several attempts of death on my life, and how light from heaven bailed me out. Don't toy with your spiritual life. To be spiritually minded is life and peace. To be carnally minded is death. Remember, as I close, what you do with your time today will determine where you find yourself tomorrow. I rest my case. What you do with your time today will determine where you find yourself tomorrow. Stand to your feet.